Hi, I'm Caitlin Amos, a fifth-year PhD candidate working with Renato Costello. My area of focus is physical oceanography. A little about myself. I grew up in North Carolina. While growing up, I absolutely loved the weather, so I thought that was, of course, what I wanted to study for undergrad. So I went to NC State to study meteorology. While there, I got to do undergraduate research. I worked for the National Weather Service one summer, which was really awesome. And I also was taking elective classes in marine sciences. And it turns out that I also enjoyed studying the ocean, particularly the physical oceanography side of marine sciences. So I decided when I was about to graduate that I wanted to go to grad school to further study physical oceanography. And so I got in contact with Renato here at UGA, and he brought me on as a master's student. After being here a couple years, I decided to stay for my PhD. My research while I've been here at UGA has focused on two main areas. One is mesoscale eddies and transporting coastal water offshore. And the second main area is looking at the variability of SST fronts in relation to cycles of El Nino and La Nina. I'll briefly talk about my first area of research, which is again mesoscale eddies. If you want to learn more, this research was published in 2019, so feel free to check out my paper. Just briefly, both my research topics are focused mainly in the California current system. What's unique about this system is that it's an upwelling region, which in a nutshell just means that cold, nutrient-rich water is brought to the surface during the summer in this region. And this water, because it's nutrient-rich, supports the ecosystem. What we were particularly interested in are mesoscale eddies, which are like big rotating rings or vortices of water, and using satellites to kind of quantitatively observe the eddies trapping that cold nutrient-rich water near the coast and moving it offshore. To do this, we use satellite measurements of sea level anomaly, which were able to detect where eddies were forming and where they were located, as well as ocean color satellite measurements that we were then able to get measurements of particular organic carbon, which were the red and blue colors you see here as a proxy for the coastal water. So what this diagram is showing, the arrow is pointing to an eddy that's forming, and you can see over time as it forms near the coast, it's trapping that red coastal water and moving it offshore by the last panel. And so we did find through this that eddies can in fact trap this nutrient-rich water and move it offshore, and so they're redistributing nutrients. My second project, again, is focused on SST fronts. So what are SST fronts? They occur where we have a large gradient in sea surface temperature. So similar to the figure I showed before, we have cold water near the coast and warm water offshore. So we have a large temperature gradient that forms between these water masses. And I can use an algorithm that detects where we have fronts based on the magnitude of the gradient. So I take satellite data of sea surface temperature and detect where these fronts are at on daily maps along the west coast of the US. And then I can use that data to look at the number of fronts each year and how that changes over time. And I'm specifically interested in the variability of those fronts related to cycles of El Nino and La Nina. So a little bit about what I enjoy about UGA and our department in general. I really just love the sense of community among the students and the faculty. The students, pre-COVID, we got to get together a lot for outreach events, social events. You know, we would go hiking, carve pumpkins, work with local schools. I've also been fortunate to just have an awesome lab. Renato has been a great advisor. I'm the only person in the lab right now, but I've had some awesome lab mates in the past. The other thing that I've really appreciated while I've been here is getting to go to conferences to present my research. They have been a great way to better my research skills, but also I've met so many people at these conferences, both students and junior and senior faculty. And along the way, I've been fortunate to get to travel both in the US, primarily to the West Coast, but then also to Europe, particularly Spain and Italy, to go to conferences. So it's really just been a great opportunity, all around to network and see the world. Here's my email. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions, if you want to learn more about my lab, more about my research. I just want to mention that we have a grad student association and I'm currently the president. So again, feel free to reach out to me with any questions.